What is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie livestream. My name's Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you, as always, to upgrade your skills before your gear. If it's your first time here, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself into the chat and make yourself part of the mix. You might even see your comment come up on screen. And as tradition goes around here, the first thing that we do is always go ahead and check out to see who are the first junkies hanging out in the chat. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. And right off the bat, we have Mr. Parker Jennings saying hello to everyone. How are you? Mr. Moderator, Paul Duncan, also in the house. And you know what? I'm letting you know right now, Paul, there might be more work headed your way on these live streams because I might be doing something to see if it actually starts building more growth. But I'll talk to you about that in the back end. Ernesto is also in the house. How are you? Saying my favorite tech. It says, but first, cafecito. That's right. Me, I'm doing the monster as always. I can't. But you know what? I think I've mentioned it to you guys before. I don't drink monsters for the energy. I drink them for the flavor. And that's why I don't drink any other soft drinks. No Coca-Cola, no Sprites, no Mountain Dew, no nothing else. I drink water, juice, or nectars, which I've been into most lately. And my Monster Energy as a preferred soft drink, but not for the energy. But he also says some coffee and happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to you too. And that's it that we got going on right now. But if you got the title right, it was saying that we're going to be doing some free downloads, which is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. There's something that's just come up that's a new option, right? And it's something that I think is going to benefit me and the community that I'm trying to cater to the most. So, you know that I've been into the 3D printing and I've been making my own RigJunkie camera kits, right? But it's been hard with everything that I've had on my plate right now. Aiden, my father, this entire situation to actually be a production house and actually get things shipped out in a timely manner. The reason why I bring this up is just because I happen to haven't really been on fourth wall for a minute. And when I went to check today, there was a purchase that was made for something very small and insignificant. The little adapter for the Ulanzi fan that I had made. But I thought, and it was my mistake, I thought that I had turned off international shipping, but it was set to international ship. So it was someone from across the pond. And for an item that's like $6 on the website, I was not expecting it to be, like the shipping out costs, the part itself. So I'm gonna be switching gears as the way that I'm gonna be doing the productions with the 3D printed stuff, and I really hope that it's gonna benefit both the consumer and myself. Okay, but as dad duties go around here, we're gonna have to wait because Aiden is asking me for some food. So as a father first, I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that because he's hungry, and I'm just gonna pump up the music for a little bit while we get to doing that and go and give you like a behind the scenes mode. Nope, it's not that shot. It's this one, isn't it? There we go. Oh, that's just the B cam. All right, so I'll go ahead and leave that there, and I'm gonna go ahead and make this guy something to eat real quick. Put the music back up and I'll be right back. You know what? I have a be right back screen. But this is what I'm gonna do with that. See? And now I just made it a floating thing that I can put it over any shot.
so in love with you. You got me down again.
All right. And we are back. All right. All right, let's go back to A cam number 1. Got a little water spots on my shirt. We're just gonna roll with that. Says dad duties. Yes. Oh, Randy's in the house. Oh, you guys are just talking amongst yourselves. That's cool. Thank you for being so understanding, guys. Randy's saying hello to everyone. Everyone's saying hi to Randy. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the choice in music. I actually have a link in my description to a 10-hour playlist with the songs that I have like culled, so to speak. Dornessa says, wow, I've been having some problems with my Rode Streamer X not being recognized by the PC. I think it's the cable. Always check the cable first. That's like one of our rules. You check the cables first. You'd be surprised. They do go bad. Kind of like tires in a car. There's resistance and sometimes they just can't hold up anymore, especially the way that we use them. But getting back to what I was saying about the changing of how I'm going about things. So I'm gonna be upfront, right? I do make some funds from Amazon, right? When people use the affiliate links, which is cool, which is what I'm gonna try to kind of capitalize on. That's what I'm looking at. So instead of trying to be the entire production aspect of it, there's a new thing that has just come to my information that's just come to my knowledge, I guess. Did I say that right? Anyways, new information, a new possibility, and it's a YouTube channel that I found when I search on my 3D printing site called Slant 3D. Now the Slant 3D YouTube channel is more business oriented, and what they're doing is that they actually have a 3D printing farm with thousands upon thousands of printers, and on top of that, a variety of different materials that we'd be able to use, and like even more than what I have. And more importantly, that they take care of all of the logistics and all of the shipping, even internationally. So, very similar to like the merch, right? And everything that you can find on mrcamerajunkie.com. Well, right there, I'm going to have the free downloads to the STL files that I have created, right? I'm going to hope, that at the same time people will maybe leave a donation for it, but at the same time I don't want the price tag to be a hindrance, especially if you have your own 3D printer. So if you have your own 3D printer and you're also a photographer, I would love for you to be using my RigJunkie setups, right? And even if that doesn't bring in the funds, what I'm hoping on is that they would at least use my affiliate links to purchase all the accessories and the add-ons that would go with the RigJunkie kit just to complete it, and then I could just make some funds through the affiliate link that way. So that's my idea, and if it gets popular and more people use it and more people use my affiliate link, then eventually it's just gonna kind of pay for itself. Plus that will also give the ability for the brand to become recognized as something that you can use and that is very functional. So I want to get the RigJunkie kits in as many hands as possible, and that's kind of like gonna be the best thing. Even if I make less money on the back end, but if I get it in the hands of more people, I think it's kind of the vision that I would like to see, especially with my designs. And they're kind of constantly be iterating. And if things change in the future, let them, let that happen. But we need to get there first. So the plan is to basically set up all of my STL files that I have for the cameras and the RigJunkie sets into my mrcamerajunkie.com fourth wall, and then from there have those be free downloads for anyone that would want to print it by themselves. But then I also was providing the actual kit itself, kind of like pre-printed if you didn't have a 3D printer, which is where Slant 3D comes in this case. What I'd be able to do with them is basically like the same thing that I do with Fourth Wall, which is like I designed the merch and I put it there, and it is print to order, so to speak, right? As soon as somebody purchases something and they want the merch, that's when the fourth wall system is going to go ahead and fulfill that order, ship it out, and take care of everything. And then I'm just going to make my profit margin on the back end when they do the payouts at the end of every month. And it takes a lot of the strain of actually having to make this by myself. So that's the plan. And with this Slant 3D, I'll be able to upload my 3D files like this, and they will then ship these actual files, pre-printed, ready to go to the customer who purchased them, and I don't have to worry about the logistics or anything like that. All I have to do is just use my fourth wall site to be able to make the purchases, and then the Slant 3D should be able to take care of the other aspect. They also have their own like service, kind of like a Etsy. So even though I'll be doing it on my end from my website, it will also live on that website. So if you happen to have never heard of my RigJunkie kits at all through my through my YouTube channel and what I've been advertising, you might just be able to run across it because you're doing something else completely on the website with them. And like I said, it's kind of like their own Etsy, so that's pretty cool. And that option is something that's newly available, kind of like a print on demand, but for 3D printing off of your own design. So some of these are pretty complex, which is what I will see exactly how that would go. But there are some parameters that I made specifically in the way that they are designed because there's strengths and weaknesses to 3D printing. So even though it might be easier to print this in this orientation, right, from bottom up, because that way it won't need any supports and it could just continue to build layer upon layer. Because the layers will be stacked in this way, they're more probable of actually like ripping on those layer lines. And if you have a bunch of them like this, if something were to impact, then this item could actually fracture on what you would call a fault line, right, on something just like that. So to avoid that, even though there is more support material required, I print it in this orientation so all of the layer lines are together and it actually creates a bonded structure so that it actually has strength from, like, I guess laterally, right, instead of vertically. So if it were to rip, it would have to like rip in layer lines coming across. And because of the cross hatching of the internal components, basically interweaving between the layers, it gives it a very solid build. And I'm very happy with this. But what I'm going to be doing in a second is I'm going to be putting this together, because another thing that I was also thinking was that maybe the person who purchased it wants to make it like a DIY kit, right? And I was bringing all of those things together in separate packages, but then requiring you to put it together, when I think it might be a little bit more satisfying to get something like this right out of the box, knowing that you could just throw your camera on there and get to using it right away. So this is gonna be the ideal for like what I'm gonna be doing as far as a gift. And there's a content creator who I had mentioned that I was gonna get a kit out to him a while ago, probably like 2 months ago, when before the move happened. But this is the one that I set up for him. As you can see, it's a special like dark gray color. So I've been doing that, having a lot of fun with that aspect. But this is a carbon fiber PETG, so it is a very strong, and the carbon fiber bits allow it to basically like not warp, so that the dimensions are correct. And then now we're just gonna be putting this together and getting this ready to be shipped out, because I want to ship this out so that he can get his hands on it and start using it right away. Let me see what you guys are saying. Oh, Andrew's in the house. He's saying hello. How you doing, bro? He's also says studio's looking nice. Thank you, thank you. We got a couple of different shots over here. This is the B cam. I think that's I got it a bit bright right there. I might have to stop it down. But that's the red camera. So I got the red across the room, and I've been having a lot of fun. That's a whole different conversation. And then I got a couple of other cameras. You know what? I don't think I got them set up, but if I go to this, right? Bam. Okay, so this is the iPhone XR. This is my main. This is my A7R2. This is the red MX1, or Red 1 MX. Then this is the S3. So this is the YOLO Cam S3. I'm really impressed with this camera. Like, They have this like light compensation that I actually turn off, which is very I find it very interesting. Lens shading correction. So I'm gonna turn it on, and you see it brightens everything up, and I kind of like it less, right? I like almost the vignetting and the mood that you get, and I think it just does better with the blacks. Now, the one thing about it is that I wish I can set the manual focus, but besides that, it does very well. Actually, you know what? The focus, let's set it up to face. Maybe it'll hunt a little less. But this is the YellowCam S3, and like I said, I'm really liking this camera, especially for like a plug-and-play USB-C webcam. It's really holding up its own weight. Like, it's really doing a good job. So we have that, and then we have our overhead. Oh, but let's rotate that. There we go. Okay, and this is the OBSBot Meet 2 in 4K. Oh yeah, and all of these are running 4K. Like last week, all I did was the comparison, but at the same time, this week I'm running it in 4K. I believe I should be. iPhone XR in the background, and that's all that I've connected this week. I didn't bring in the other one from the interview mode. Let's go ahead. There we go. All right, and we're back. Okay, so it's a sneaky cam. I got cameras everywhere, bro. All right, so now actually, you know what? Let's go to the top down, right? Because I'm gonna be putting this together. So this is exactly what I was saying. Instead of shipping all of these things in a box separately, I'm going to be putting them together so that it's a cohesive unit, and then see about shipping that, right? I think it's just going to be a better overall experience. And this one, like I said, I'm making for my boya, Kofi Yaboya. And he's a White Walker. He's up over there in Canada. But we're going to be shipping this internationally just the same way, because it's so crazy, right? They're just our border, but that's international shipping. Now through Fourth Wall, I won't be able to do it, but for my boya, I'm gonna take care of him. I got plenty of parts printed out, right? And we're gonna go through them, but there was just one thing that I'm changing on this one comparative to the others, which is, if you notice, is that right here we have heated inserts, and I'm not going to use heated inserts. I'm going to use I forgot what they're called. Hold on. Oh, the thread locker repair kit. Let's see if we can get a good shot of that. See, thread repair kit, quarter 20, 30 pieces, and I bought some extras, so I have more than 30 pieces, but that's what we're going to use, and that'll be the first step. I don't think I'll have to tap it. Yeah, you see? All right, let's see. Are these too big? Didn't find out. Oh no. I don't think I have an option, because I don't think I printed the one that I could use these, because I needed to shrink it. So heated inserts it is. All right. That's going to change this a bit, because I didn't want to have to pull out that piece of hardware, but we will do so. And this is what I mean. If we can get this company, right, Slant 3D, to actually, oh, there they are. Like to print these out and put some heated inserts in them. Bam, we're gonna be set. All right, this is the machine. So this just rides down to press the heated inserts into the body. You'll be looking at it from this view, or yep. This heats up in no time. It's already at 200. All right. Am I getting ahead of myself? No, it's at 400. See, the carbon fiber is really holding a good amount of heat. Wee. Starting to sink. About halfway there. But that is nice. And this is the really cool part, guys. This little contraption here that I'm using cost me $20 on Amazon. Like right now, you could basically make anything that your heart's desire, because the tools that you need to do so are so readily available. Yo. Bellissimo. All right. So that's done. I was thinking I was gonna set it on the floor, right, to let it cool off, but then I remember Mr. Aiden resides on the floor. Actually, you know what? My OCD is not gonna allow me to let that little bit you can see there just looks nice, but not there. And we're back with this. Bam. Let's turn it back on. $388, $394, $400. All right, let's see. I just brushed it and I felt the heat coming off of that tip. All right, much better. All right. I'm going to show you there's improvements in the design as well. These are basically the same, but if you can notice one thing, this right here, basically it's on the same like parallel, right? It's almost like I just cut this out. This new version, they're not. This one is recessed back a little bit more, and this is just to make better clearance for a variety of different fans, because there's a lot of these different fans that you'd be able to set up to get like the infinite cooling, but just to make sure that everything fits, see, just that little bit of extra clearance, just to make sure that no matter which model fan you get, some of them are just a little bit thicker than others, you'll be able to fit that there. So this one not so much, but the original like version, right? So let's get to it. Now another thing that I did was I actually 3D printed my own little fan bracket, and the reason why is because I also gave it a little extra recess in here and off of the top here, because the ones that come with these fans are just a little bit too thick. So once you install it into the A7C, the one thing that it doesn't do is close flushly. And just like I just showed you that my OCD wouldn't allow me to let those inserts not be level, well, the same thing, if the door wasn't closing and it was staying open like this and it just felt like it was just like being pressured, right, because of the plastic, I then redesigned my own little clip so that it fits within that camera snug. All right, so let's go ahead and open some of these things. Okay, this will do. Couldn't find a knife. Interesting for a Puerto Rican, right? All right. Small rig cheese plate. That's going to be the base. Okay, this is the back battery holder. Okay. This is just a set of screws. Then the nicely rigged top. So throw this to the side over here. All right, so now let's see all the hardware that we're going to be messing with. Is this the Allen key? And here we have some screws in this one. What time is it? 45 after. Wow. This is going with all the goodies. These are all the same. I'm going to be using this one. All right. So now this screw set comes with these 4 long screws. That's the one that I have set for the base here. So should I start with the top? Yeah, actually I should. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. Standard screws in the back. I gotta tell you guys, I'm very proud of that. The fact that my design, like everything fits snugly. So now we have 2 options here, right? So that we can put 2 screws here. I said options. So there's 2 holes there that are set. And this is why we start with the top, because you're able to come through here with this long Allen key and tighten those down. If it lines up, right? Everything else lined up perfectly. Let's see. Maybe keep everything a little loose for tolerance's sake. Yep. So put them in lightly at first. All right. Before I put on the base, I'm going to go ahead and put on the back. All right. And this, right, comes with 2 screws on the top. What you can do is that you could actually remove the screws by putting it directly in the center of that little galley, right? Because the galley, let's see if we can pick that up. Right in the center, there's a little divot, which only in the center would you be able to unscrew the screws that come with it to basically release them from the clip itself. But the clip has the 1/4-20s in the back, and that's what I designed it for. So the same screws that come with the kit, you're just gonna drop them in through the back. So now they're just hanging. As you can see, they're sticking out the back right there. Just align them and tighten. I guess so. Okay. Now that they're placed there, there's some room for movement, as you can see. I did that so that you'd be able to put them in, then ride this to the top so that you can tighten them up. And you want to, at least I did, want to tighten it in the highest point, because that's when the battery is going to sit flush. So this here now fits flush, and with the base, got a perfect fit. See, top to bottom. My OCD is really shining here. So, all right. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and put on the base, which once again, which is what I had started, but we're gonna put the 4 long screws. I'm gonna drop them in from the top. From the top, not on the floor. Come on, man. Was this the right tool? I'm even second guessing if I got the right tool. But tighten that. Next, tighten that. We're almost there. Now, this is where it gets fun and interesting, because you have 2 options, and that's the way that I've set it up. Over here, I've made them in black, right? But I also got them in the gray. And the 2 options is basically top cable management or top and bottom cable management. So this one would just cable manage the top half, and this one would do both. Now, what I'm gonna do is that, because not everyone's gonna be using both, I'm just gonna be shipping this with it, but I'm gonna put the just cable management on top for this setup to just keep it as clean looking as possible. So now this is where I'm gonna take these small little ones, right? Even though I think we could use the full size ones, and I say full size and they're not even the real big ones. Let's see. Yeah, it stays a little loose. Yep. That's why we got these little guys, so that they can sink all the way into the insert and give you the tightest fit on the LCD guard. And that is it. I really like that color, man. Let me know what you think. I think it's really gonna set it off differently. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So the A7C is right here. Okay. And this is what I was talking about. When I go to insert this now, because I 3D printed my own, the door is able to close all the way flush, and you see, and that's exactly where it stops. The one that it comes with leaves the door hinge like that, so even though you have the entire RigJunkie kit, it never sits flush onto the setup. So that's why I had to 3D print my own, which will come with the kit, right? This allows me to come in here. That's it. So you see, I think that's gonna be a lot more satisfying, because everything that I just showed you, the way that I've set it up right now, right? For this one, DJ, what camera is this for? Okay, I was just showing this is for the A7C Mark II. But I am going to be making like all of these STL files available for all of the cameras that I have made this for right now, because I just want to see the RigJunkies out in the wild as much as possible. So if you have a 3D printer and any of the cameras that I've designed a kit for, then you'll have the ability to 3D print this and download the file for free. I'm going to be making them all available through my website, mrcamerajunkie.com. And if you're so kind, you know, for all the accessories, if you don't own them already, if you're going to purchase new ones, I would just hope that you use my affiliate links so that I can make a little something off of the Amazon backend. But this is exactly the kit, the way that I have it set up here. And there are some cables and some accessories that I do need to add, because this fan, even though it's incredible, it doesn't have its own battery source. So you are going to need to tap into, you know, like the battery that you're going to be using as its power source, which is why I have designed everything that way, including this top portion right here, which is the cable management for that exact cable. So let me go ahead and finalize this. The 2 screws on the top. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself, because I need to get the cable in there first. Okay, so let me go ahead and get the cable. Okay, it looks like Mr. Aiden has actually might have moved that cable, because it looks like his hands were in that area. So give me a second, let me see if I can find the backup. Okay. And here it is. So this is also one of the accessory pieces. This is a specific adapter that's 90 degrees on both ends. USB-C to USB-A. And like I said, they're designed specifically for this, or like I designed this using this in mind. So this is the way that we set it up. We put the 90-degree angle down, see? So it gives you space. And the reason why is because of the way that this fan has been designed. The power button is here. If this fan were to be in this position, once installed, the cable itself is blocking you from access to the button. So that's why I thought of that and said, let's put the fan upside down and let's use this cable, right, in the 90-degree angle. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap it around like this. And what it is that once it's installed, it still gives us access to turn on this fan when we're going to use it and make sure. I can't emphasize enough how much of a difference this fan makes, because this thing is gonna keep this camera on indefinitely and you will never have any issues of overheating. Mark my word, I've tested it beyond belief. What with this setup like this camera becomes a cinema camera and it will run indefinitely. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and now drop that. As you can see, the cable still sticks out of the end right here, which is perfectly fine. And now with that in place like that, we're gonna drop the screws that we are gonna need to finalize the locking in of the camera to the rig. This guy here to the left is being a pain. There we go. Now we're gonna flip it. And one screw at the bottom. And I missed it. There we go. What I like to do is just press it towards the back before I tighten the screws, so that it's as snug as possible on this setup. All right, so now this is completely locked in. I can't emphasize how structurally sound this is. And if you hold it in your hand, you'll know for yourself. So right here, we're all set. As you can see, I have the cutout to actually fit so that you can press the button in there. You can see the little shine of the red button right there, dead center of the darkness. Okay, and that's where this comes into play. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up. We're gonna loosen the screws, not take them out, just loosen them, giving us the ability to move this up and down. And that is what's gonna give us the cable management. So we're gonna throw the cable in through the hoop, right? Bring it back down and then retighten. So now the cable has been managed. LCD is being protected. Fan is in there correctly. And last but not least, we're gonna go ahead and throw the battery pack onto it, which has the direct access to the USB so that we can plug it in. And once it's plugged in, it has power, which is showing that red indicator light. And then I'll be able to put my thumb in there, turn it green. Right? Did I? There we go. That's indicating that the fan is on. And this is not just a fan. This is like an AC unit. This is literally like a cold pad to the back of your camera. And now you're ready to go with this kit. And the way it is, it's gonna run the fan indefinitely. But this fan, or this battery is way overkill for just this. And that's where, you know, right now I am running a Z battery in here. Right. But Z battery to D-tap. Throw this in here. Oh, this isn't even for this camera. This is for the Nikon. I think I messed up my iPhone shot, but I digress. This is the one for the Z. Bam. It's on the front, right? Yeah. And now, that's another thing. In here, or better said, this part of the design, this that's sitting in the inside here, is actually where I would wrap this cable as cable management. So that's what that is there for. I wasn't thinking ahead, but nonetheless, you'll be able to wrap it in there and then tap it, and now you have indefinitely cooled camera and basically an all-day run life on the kit, giving you the ability from here to add monitors, to add basically anything, including like side grips, handles, everything. And once you throw a lens on there, top handle, this thing is actually pretty light for the amount of power that you're able to get out of it. So like I said, you'll be able to download all of these free from mrcamerajunkie.com. The only thing that I ask for you is to use the affiliate links for all of the necessary peripherals that get added to it. So I'll be putting all of these kits together as like a list. That way it'll be easier for you to find and just order all of these things off of Amazon like I did. And you'd be able to put this kit together yourself if you have a 3D printer. But in the case that you don't have a 3D printer, that's where I was going to be selling these already pre-made. But the fact that I don't have a warehouse, and the way that my life is being run right now with a lot of changes happening with my father, I don't have the ability to be as on top of things as I want to. So to be able to meet everyone in the middle, I'm going to be using this Slant 3D service, which is going to be making all of these parts and shipping it. And then I'm just going to be making like a small commission off of the top. But at the same time, it'll get it into a lot of people's hands a lot faster for those who are interested in getting this themselves, who might not have a 3D printer. So that's exactly where I sit, and that's the plans as far as going forward. This kit that I'm demonstrating right here, this gray one, this one's going to be going to Mr. Kofi Yaboya. I'm going to be packing it all up together. I got to throw one of these thumb throttles on there, which is really cool. Let me show you. This little guy right here, the thumb throttle, specific for this design, installed right here, does wonders. This gives you the ability to put your thumb there, and just with your hand on the grip and that thumb throttle, you could handle all of the extra weight literally just by gripping it just tight. And with the lens that is going to offset the weight in the back. This is why I call it my ultralight series. It gives you a lot of functionality, a lot of productivity with your rig. It's going to give it a nice boxy look right? To be more professional, you could throw a matte box on top of it, and then at the end of the day, it's not gonna be the heaviest rig because you're not adding like all of it complete metal. And I tried to keep it as compact as possible. And like I said, my OCD is also gonna keep it as like flush as possible. So that's the setup, but I give it flexibility with this, duct here or the cable management, because I'm using the newer batteries and I designed it for this. But I know the small rig ones have the USBs on top, which should give you the ability to, still tap to them on top just the same way. So a lot of functionality. And this is the RigJunkie kit ultralight, or better said, the RigJunkie ultralight for the A7C Mark II. And I'll tell you the truth, man. For people who are interested in the FX2, this is basically an FX2 with a viewfinder, right? Oh, the FX2 actually has a viewfinder. Correction. But this is basically an FX2 on a much smaller budget. Like, you can save yourself, I think, over $700 or maybe even $1,000 going with the A7C Mark II and the RigJunkie kit. And now, if you have your own 3D printer, it's going to be even that much cheaper. So that's it. All right, so this now, what I'm going to be doing next is basically setting up a box to get that shipped to the Canadian land, and we'll see exactly where it goes from there. I really am waiting to get the feedback. So a couple of kits that I had sent out previously, I had sent them out deconstructed, which I think is a pain point, right? So with that in mind, I'm thinking that giving this the ability for Kofi to just basically slide his camera on there and go is going to be beneficial. So we'll see where that goes from there. All right, let me see where you guys are. All right. Spatsky is in the house. Says, what's cooking, Luis? Saludos. Hey man, just grinding it out and having fun nerding out with camera stuff. Okay, so DJ Kelvin, or Kevin, sorry. DJ Kevin was asking what camera is this for. I said A7C Mark II. He says perfect. He also says he has the Canon R5, getting the Canon EOS C50. Okay, so well, congratulations on the new camera. I'll be interested in what you do with it. But these are cameras that I'm actually thinking as well to be able to rent, right? Maybe get my hands on it for like a month and design the RigJunkie kit for it, and then also once again just put that out as a free download and probably drop the file over onto that slant 3D printing, because it's a new concept and I think it's gonna do very well, because there's a lot of people who are like myself coming up with these designs, and the design is just as important as the product itself. Like if for example, these I printed them separately from the rest of them because of the same layer line functionality and because of the aesthetic of the way that it looks. So because I didn't want these to be filled with layer lines, I printed them flat on its side and made it an external part that you can add, but also with the functionality of being able to use it for the cable management. So just me thinking ahead of how I would use this camera and this kit myself. So that's where all of this comes into play. Like, another thing that I'm very proud of, and you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the overhead shot, is something that I just finished making, which is my retrofit kit for the red camera. So for this camera over here, oh, let me see what happened. I gotta now find out what happened because it didn't last the hour. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna bring it because it completely died, so I can show you better. Squeeze it in over here. Okay. So what I was able to do with the red, right, is I was able to make an M43 mount for this front here. So this right here in the front, you know what? Let me take this off so you can see better. Wow, I did a good job there. There we go. Okay, right here, I had a PL mount, which is a positive log mount from Airy film cameras, which is really cool, but I don't have a lot of PL lenses. If you know from previous, I actually made my own PL lens, right? Which is this guy right here, and I made it positive lock, mount, just because that was the only thing that I had, just to make sure and test the camera was working. Now that I know the camera's working, I started, you know, investigating and splurging a little bit more on what's possible. And what I did was, well, like I said, I made my own mount. So I took off the entire PL mount and disconnected it, leaving basically the sensor all onto itself. And then I started iterating on my own design of making my own M43 mount. So now this is actually a fully working model. So I can take an M42 lens like such and now just thread it onto this. And because that's bolted on here, that's exactly what I have here. So today we were rocking out the Yoshika, is it? No, is it? No, it's the Mamaya. As you can see. So I have an M43 mount there, and that's how easy it is for me to switch on and off M42 lenses onto this camera right now, which I have quite a few lenses in a pretty cool apertures, right? So this one is an f1.4. So I had to stop down to what? No, I wasn't f16. But I would say I at least had it down to like f4, maybe f5.6. Like, to give you a demonstration of how easy it was for me to switch lenses like that, should show you. So now this is my Akura Diamatic 28 millimeter f 2.8, right? Is this? Yes, f 2.8. And this is the one that I think I was showing you guys last week, that it has like a filter built in, that if you open it all the way to f 2.8, the blooming and the halation that you get, it literally looks like a mist filter. It's super interesting, and there's nothing, that's all the lens, and the flares on this are like super crazy. But what I think is actually happening, guys, is I think this camera might have overheated, right? So I would definitely have to check it out, because I checked the battery and the battery was still at 38%. Now, there's a lot of things coming in here. I'm going to be talking about this camera in the near future, because there's some mods that I made to it which made it functional. So I made the hard drive mod, which I think I showed you guys, right? And I made this drive mod where I put in an SSD, and the SSD, this is 256. So the 256 gigabyte basically gives me unlimited recording, like just for days, especially that because it's not a red drive. Um, it's limiting the camera to only 2K resolution. So to get the 4.5K out of it, you have to get other like red approved media, and that's what's really been hard. But I got a couple of things coming in. I got an SSD, a red SSD, 64 gigs, but it's one of the mini mags, and I'm going to try to see if I can reverse engineer it for this setup that I have here. And if it recognizes as red media, then we're in business, and we can use a lot of the red SSDs that are designed for the newer cameras like the Monstro and the Scarlett, and throw them on here. Now there's complete rigs for that conversion, but those are also super expensive. Like they're more than what you'd pay for this camera outright. So it's just very interesting, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And the thing that I have to say that has impressed me more than anything, which is why I'm starting to understand the fanaticism of a lot of people with red cameras, is the red raw codec. I just threw this onto Final Cut Pro, and my goodness, I was so impressed with how much you can salvage both from the shadows and the highlights. It is something else. And that was just me testing out here, and I'm dragging the exposure and bringing it up, and bringing up all this detail. I was just amazed at how clean it is straight from the raw files. And this is the smallest, like the 28 megs per second raw files. It's pretty impressive. So I'm starting to, like I said, I'm starting to understand it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. If I can get a reliable source of media on this, then um, I can say to my clients, I can shoot it on red, right? So it really goes to that, and I'm excited because this is just the first iteration of this mount, right? And with this design right here, I should be able to basically connect any other future camera lens. And what I have in mind, just so you know what I'm thinking, is that I'm going to be buying some of the adapters for these lenses off of like let's say, like for example, this is an adapter for the M42, right, for Canon. I'm going to be buying some of these just to use the insides of the mounts. So for example, the Nikon one, I'm going to want to reinforce it with the metal that comes with it. So I'm going to buy a Nikon mount just to basically take those parts off of it, and then throw that hardware on top of this plastic design. And now with the right flange distance, have a mount just like this for Nikon, have a mount just like this for like the Canon EF, and a variety of different lenses that I can get that are manual that I'd be able to throw onto this camera. And like I said, I'm in business, right? And that still doesn't take away from the fact that I still have the PL mount that I can throw on here just the same way, and bring it kind of like back to stock, and then start using this camera with PL lenses when I start like acquiring more of those. Because my next investment is basically, I'm gonna get a PL adapter for my Sony cameras, right? So that I can throw a PL adapter on here, and then start using a variety of different cinema glass onto these RigJunkie kits and setups. So that's the plan, and that's where we're at. But oh my god, we're way past the hour. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys. But you know what? I'm still gonna do it because this is part of the show. I'm making it a thing. Like, you guys haven't told me if you guys have found any of the Easter eggs, so I'm just gonna continue there. Uh, Delvin says that he does have a 3D printer, but he has the Canon camera. I would have to make that first, and then I'll send over a file. Andrew says, very cool. Can all size thumbs fit in there? I think so, right? you know what? Let me go ahead and I busted out the calipers here. 27.88 millimeters. Make sure that's right. So yeah, so over an inch. So I would say like 1.25 inches, right? Or something like that of accessible thumb space in there. And I have a pretty, fat thumb, so I'm thinking there. But if not, you can go index finger, just depending on it. But it still gives you the access. Okay, so he's asking me what kind of filament do I use? PLA. No, I've been using PLA CF. So it's PLA carbon fiber filaments in it. And this one, because I've been dabbling with it, I've also been using PETG CF, but they're both carbon fiber infused, and that has to do with the tolerances so that nothing warps. And the overall look that you get with the carbon fiber, I'm just a fan of. So it gives it a bit of like a matte look, and I absolutely love it. And there's this other thing called fuzzy skin, which I also apply to it. So it actually gives it like a more like stone kind of finish look instead of it just looking like layer lines. So it hides everything better. What's up, Kevin? Sneaking in through the back door. Oh, at the last minute. Not, we're going to reverse that. I just cut that out. You didn't sneak in through. You came in last minute. It says, what's the red camera model? This one is the Red One Mysterium X, or the MX. So it's the Red One MX. But I actually think that, no, yeah. There's somebody that called that the Mysterium X is like an updated version, but the MX has to do with the sensor, and this, the Mysterium X sensor, which is their first ever digital cinema camera to hit the market. It does 4.5K widescreen, 4K standard. And on top of the raw files being really easy to use in post, there is a certain look. There's definitely like a film look to it, and it just fits. It looks really nice. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Kevin says, I'm glad I caught you. It's been too long. It's been hard. Yeah. Lifing's been hard lately, he says. Hey, I feel you, brother. There's a lot going on. K-Wall's in the house. It says, I was late. What were we looking for? The same three that we were looking for. So we're looking for the Osbot, Meet 2 S, the Meet 2 SE, I think, which is the white one. Because we have the gray one and the white one. We're looking for the white one. And then we're looking for the Matt Haas. Continuity camera's also telling me I'm at 20%. So, we're pushing it. The Matt Haas thumbs up and the roll of film. And she got the first one already. She says the Osmo camera's on the pegboard, which is right there. Just that little black dot. So you nailed it. He says Kofi's thumb will fit awesome. You know what? Mentioning it, yeah. You see, and that's what I said. Like, I gotta make sure, I gotta get it to him and have him give me the feedback of if it is enough. If not, I have to widen it. Say nice. Okay. Oh, she's giving me the row and everything. She said bottom left row. Yeah, you got it. You got it. And Kevin's laughing. All right. So now, the game. Yes, we're going to do the game, which is, let me see if I can get this. Snap Decisions. This is week 3 of Snap Decisions, okay? And we're going to go ahead and get into it. So the first question in snap decisions. So this is where you guys get to interact and let me know what you guys would rather do, right? So would you rather always have super fast autofocus in your cameras, right, where it's just like locked on and it's always good, or have perfect color science straight out of camera? So let me know what you guys think. What would you rather, like, what would you prefer in a snap decision, right? Would you rather have good autofocus that's always locked on and super fast? Or would you rather have perfect color science straight out of camera? So as soon as the files leave your camera, they're basically like color graded exactly the way that you want it. Now, as I wait for your comments to come in, I'm gonna give you my take, and my take is that even though I love Sony cameras for super fast autofocus for that same reason, I would prefer having the perfect color science, right? Because if you can get the colors like straight out of camera correct, I think you can creatively deal with the autofocus both left and right. But then that depends on how you do it, right? If you're someone who's in a log workflow, then you already know, like, yeah, it's all gonna be grayscaled, and that's not even gonna be worried about it. But the more that I do this with video, right, and it really depends. If you're not doing something like this, right, where you would need the autofocus, then I found myself using manual focus more and more. Oh, look at you. Okay, so you guys are coming in here now. And Andrew says autofocus. Look at this. Everybody's saying autofocus. K-Wall saying autofocus. Randy also says autofocus. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great week. Okay, he's heading out, sir. Thanks for hanging out. K-Wall, because I don't know how to color grade. But you see, that's exactly my point. If you don't know how to color grade, but you know how to pull focus, then I would prefer having my weak point be like, or my like less strong point, right? If I'm not as good in color grading, to be taken care of and be like perfect out of camera, so that the only thing that I would have to worry about is getting things in focus. And that's the whole thing. There was great photography and even videography before autofocus was invented. So it is a very modern convenience. Look, DJ Kevin also says the autofocus says for sports. Okay, so you see, like, that's exactly what his use case for sports. Says tracking windsurfers at speeds of 600. Oh my god, yeah. He goes, those suckers are hard to track. So you see, of course, and that's what I was saying. Like, it depends on what you're doing. So if you're doing wildlife photography, of course, you need autofocus. You need spot on autofocus. So you see, it really depends. But like I said, me, that I've been doing more productions lately, like this camera that you guys are looking at, this thing has been on manual focus for a long time. And it's something that I prefer. So it gives me the ability, like I do constantly, to just move off screen, right? And the camera's not going to be hunting back and forth and so on and so forth, which is also part of the allure, right? Because I wanted to keep the Obsbot over here in Boca Town, right? And keep it nice and blurry to see if I can get it to just mesh in the background. So if I were to leave and it would hunt back there and then put that into focus, I lose the bokeh effect that I'm creating here. So this is a manual lens, right? This guy, when I had it set up across the room, that's manual setup. And only the things that I'm using it for in particular in my setup is when I use the autofocus. So when I go overhead, right, that's when I'm gonna use the autofocus, because I could have something down here, but then I want to highlight it and I want it to autofocus there. So this is where I have it, and it's also limited to my desktop, right? To literally just what I have going on here. So that's where I find the advantages of like manual focus towards autofocus. And unless you're dealing with one camera that is doing it all for you, which you're going to be putting things in front of it and stuff like that, or that you're going to be doing something like sports, car racing, photography, videography, wildlife, fast pacing things, of course, the autofocus is going to be the most important. So, okay, so that's good for the first one. Let's not get hung up on that because we got two more questions. Okay, the second one, would you rather, as I wait for you guys, be known for cinematic B roll or for your incredible storytelling? Hmm, that's a good one. As a content creator, right? What would you rather be known for? Would you rather be known for like great cinematic B-roll that like a lot of your shots look like I would say like a Mr. McKinnon flick, right? Or you want to be an incredible storyteller where the imagery is not so much important, but you're able to convey the story better. That's really tough for me because I think that good cinematography and B-roll is good storytelling. Right? So that's where I would think. But I would rather be known for great storytelling because I guess in my eyes that includes your B-roll. So if I would pick one of the two, I would pick the storytelling over the B-roll because I might not be known for it, but that doesn't mean that I would necessarily be bad, right? Okay, so Andrew's saying story. Kevin is also saying story. K-Wall is also saying story. So we're on the same page. Okay. And because we're getting late, I'm going to just roll into the next one. We could elaborate, but maybe we'll hold it for next time. Okay. And then the last one, would you rather get one dream camera setup today, but never upgrade again? Or keep upgrading gear forever, but never find your creative style? Ooh, that's a good question. Let me get a sip of this and I'm going to repeat it. Would you rather get your one dream camera setup today, but never upgrade again? Or keep upgrading gear forever, but never finding your creative style? In this case, I'm going to answer before I see any of the things that you guys say. And I'm going to do the one dream camera setup today. The way that I am, as you can see, I can reverse engineer. I can have a lot of fun with a lot of old equipment. So imagine if I had this camera here, and you know, the asterisk is that you'll have the one camera setup, but that it will be working for all of time. Not like this one that we can't find media for it, and it makes it impossible to use. But if you have a one camera setup that you know you'd be able to use indefinitely, I think I would choose that and find my creative style than to constantly be on the hunt for the like latest and greatest and kind of always be lost in the wings. That would be my question. That was a good question. So we got to give it up to Chad because you know I tell him to make these questions for me just the same way, and that's a good one. So in my case, I would do the one dream camera setup, and it would be an amazing camera setup. You know, like I would definitely go very like next level. This thing will have everything that I could ever imagine. But yeah, and this is probably just my thoughts of like knowing photographers who still use like old 5Ds, you know, Canon 5D, Mark 1, maybe the Mark 2, right? And they're still using those cameras with their old L lenses, and they're still getting amazing photography. It depends on what you're doing, but portraits and things like that. So if you're able to find your niche, find your creative style, I think that's way more important. For example, my cousin Debbie, DMO photography, or DMO 954 photography, I believe. But she's been doing photography for years. I think, if I haven't spoken to her in a while about gear, but I believe she's still rocking the Sony A7 III, the A7 III, and still rocking her Tamron 28 to 70 lens, 28 to 75 millimeter lens, f2.8. And for those of you know that those that's like the baby G Master. And throughout all of her portraits and things like that, doing some weddings, she found her niche, and she loves, absolutely loves, doing baby photography and newborn photography. And she's got her like dream setup, and she's been able to find her creative style. She loves what she does. So if you haven't, if you want to follow my cousin Debbie Marrero at DMO 954 photography, you'll be able on Instagram. You'll find her work there, and you'll see all of her baby pictures and things like that, just her newborn pictures. And then there's some others, because that's another cool aspect, that once you take the pictures of the newborn, you kind of become that child's photographer, and the parents keep coming back to her for the 1 year old, for the 2 year old pictures, for the 3 year old pictures. So even though she loves the infant photography, she's able to expand it into a little bit more than that. So all right, you see, that's exactly okay. So right here, Andrew says, yeah, that's a tough question. Kevin answers, says, dream setup, and you know my style for sure. Absolutely. K Wall says that's hard, but she'll keep upgrading. You see, so that's a gear junkie, right? She's doing with the phone, with the gas, gear acquisition syndrome. Kevin also says, at a certain point, your upgrades don't matter if you're not able to be you, which is very, very true. Right, and that's the whole thing. When everybody was going for all the new stuff is when I took a left and started going to the vintage, which is why I have a plethora of M42 lenses, and a lot of them with amazing apertures. Plus I love 50 millimeters, and it was almost like the most common lens to get because it was easy to make. So everybody had a 50 millimeter f1.7, f1.4, very, very common in the M42 era, especially because you needed as much light as possible, because the film stocks weren't able to get high ASA or ISOs factors back in those days as well. So 1600 was like very high, 3200 was like, that's like flash film, and that's what you would use with like very large aperture lenses to be able to burn the images onto the film that wasn't as high of an ISO range in the 400s and the 800s. So there could only be one. The dream setup says also, absolutely right. The dream setup is what would do it. But now, I guess another question for another day, maybe we can make it next week, is like, what would be your dream setup camera, right? Would you like to be run and gun, where it's light and nimble, right? Something like this where you can get everything done, but you're still able to be on the run? Or do you want something that's like completely overkill, which needs sticks, that weighs a ton and is a tank, but is gonna be able to shoot like IMAX, right? So it just depends. That's a conversation for another day. But we really rocked it out, well over an hour. Thank you guys for still hanging out here with me. Please be sure to hit a thumbs up on the like button, right? Something like that. But this is the part where we do Cities Go. So if you're new here, this is channels that I think you should go and watch. And this week's Cities Ga is none other than Mr. Adam Savage. Now, I was trying to find someone who's like into the photography aspect that kind of did this, but I did want to mention Mr. Adam Savage and his YouTube channel Tested, because he's been dabbling more and more and more into 3D printing. He did a video not too long ago about 3D printing houses, which is something that I had already been very well aware of, but he's also a tinkerer, right? This guy's been doing stuff like this for a long time. And if you know Adam Savage, he's the one who actually has been doing Mythbusters, and his background is all about creating props, right? Movie props and things like that. Like he recreated the gun piece from Hellboy, right? Just because he wanted to have it in his shop. And with his expertise and all the tools at his disposal, he's able to recreate a lot of cool things. So he's someone that I've always taken inspiration from for many, many years and learned so much from. And now that he's no longer on network TV, you can still find his antics and some of his education right here on the Tested YouTube channel. So if you didn't know of Mr. Savage, let me be the one to introduce you. And if you are and didn't know that he was doing this, then let me be the one to introduce you to his YouTube channel called Tested Adam Savage. This week's Cities Gall, channels that I think you should go and watch. And that's how that works. And we did it, guys. This is episode 224, and we went long on this one, but thank you if you're still here hanging out with me. You guys are the realists. You guys are what make this exactly what it is, and we are 254 episodes strong of every single week Camera Junkie live stream without skipping a beat, and it's because of you guys. You guys make this my favorite place to hang out. So next week we're going to be doing it all over again, same time, same place, right here on the Mr. Camera Junkie YouTube channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So mark your calendars, set a reminder so that you don't miss it. And I'm going to be putting the descriptions and everything in. I haven't done it already, but if you're watching this on the replay, just know that you can go to mrcamerajunkie.com and get your free download of the STL files for the A7C Mark II. I have them done also for the FX3 and the FX30 that I'm also going to be giving away to the community as a gift from me to you. And like I said, I just want to see some of my designs out in the working field, so to speak. And I can't wait to get feedback from people who are using it. And I'm really excited so that we can see RigJunkie iteration part 2 and where we can go from there. So I'm excited for that. And if you want to see more of this, if you liked what we're doing here, then make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my future uploads or live streams, because we do them every single week. So guys, as always, you guys rock. You guys are the best. K-Walls got another point this week, okay, for the OBS bot over here, and we're going to keep it running. Next week will be 4 weeks of running this game, the snap decisions, and also the Easter egg hunt with the items within the set. So it looks like I've made a couple of good hiding spots, but we're going to continue to iterate on all of these as we continue to move along. So guys, as always, take care of yourselves and each other, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces. Yeah, you right here next week while we do it all over again. So until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time. Talk to you.